Hi guys, welcome back to the Archives. I'm Tyler Apple.
And I'm Rudy Luttrell.
And we are
the
Mystic Mentors. Rudy, I got shivers.
Yeah.
And not just because Rudy is a little bit under the weather here, so if he sounds like he's a little bit tired, please forgive him. He's
just getting over a cold, so.
Yes, so he's a little huskier, a little bit more manly sounding this afternoon. So I've got chills, folks, because we have our first, what, Rudy, coming up here?
It's huge. We have our first modern 1K. So our first $1,000 tournament local. As far as big local events, I don't think we've had anything like this because it's a 2-day event.
Yeah.
One of which being an RCQ.
Yep.
On Saturday, and then followed up immediately with a 1K after.
Yes.
That is huge.
No, it's an absolutely huge opportunity to not only get together and socialize with folks with the same interests as yourselves for Magic, but it's we haven't even seen a tournament like this ever in the Midwest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely new territory.
I've lived here 10 years. Rudy's lived here most of his life.
Yep.
We have never seen anything like this, and the fact that our sponsors, the King of Games, are putting forth the effort, the time, our owners are trying to bring Magic to that next competitive level, feels like, Rudy, I've gone back in time like 13 years now.
Yeah, I know. I used to dream about this when I was young. I was like, if we had this kind of opportunity.
Feels like we're back in the Star City era where, you know, we're playing for big prizes, big money. And
absolutely.
Not that I'm not happy with what the DreamHack organization's doing with RCQs. Like, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have something closer to home, too, where we're not having to take a plane flight down over to different states just to play high-level competitive Magic. So, really excited.
With that being said, Ty,
yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit about the tournament.
Yeah,
it is, in fact, modern. We've covered a lot of Pioneer events.
Yeah, we have.
And now we're kind of in that segue from last season being all Pioneer, plus our training for the RC Atlanta, into modern.
Yes. That conversion has been a grind for our team. I really do think.
Man. Yeah,
we've been training close to nonstop whenever we have a free moment to get a feel for the decks. I have not been as irritated with myself and Magic in a long time because we got so comfortable in Pioneer. We knew the play patterns, we knew what we had to do, what kind of hands to keep. Man, we were professional. And now modern, I'm back to being just humble Ty.
It feels like we're on the incline. We're trying to get back up there. Yeah. Because modern is a completely different ball game. And I personally haven't played modern since the original release of Modern Horizons 1. That's the last time I joined a modern tournament.
Even longer for me, actually, to be completely honest.
Wow.
Yeah. So, looking at the modern metagame, let's talk about the top dog, right? We gotta talk about the top dog.
Yeah, we have to talk about Scam. So Scam is a deck that I have a lot of personal experience with because it's when I heard of modern and I started researching things, and of course no one can ignore the results of the Pro Tour.
No.
Scam was number one. And so I decided to build it, play test it, etc. And I liked the deck. Yeah. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It is in fact the deck to beat in a lot of ways.
It really is, but never have I run into a format like this one, especially this deck embodies the strengths and the strange nature of modern, because it starts out with you and your opponent just flinging spells. You are playing some 4D, 3D chess Magic, really doing reads if you're playing at the highest levels and figuring out what could go wrong. And then at some point, after you've expended all of your energy against each other, you're into a real Rocky Balboa type of situation where you're just kind of slinging punches at each other, and they're not even aimed punches. You're playing limited all of a sudden is what it feels like.
It is to say that modern is in a weird state where, well, I mean, first of all, Rakdos is Rakdos. You're both going to be top carding at the end of the day.
That's true.
And Rakdos traditionally top cards really well.
Yeah, black-red cards are strong as they should be.
Yeah, but then you have all these cards like Lorien Revealed, the Treant and stuff. So it turns limited when everyone's top decking and these medium threats.
5 mana, draw 3 cards. Never have we been
sorcery speed,
more excited to pay 5 mana for 3 cards at sorcery speed.
No, but I think Scam is definitely it has a solid place in modern. It does everything that modern wants to do with cards like Grief and Fury, and it gets there in a multitude of ways.
Second deck on our docket, however, another strong one. Strong almost because Rakdos is strong, and not so much a strong deck on its own.
Yeah, I did notice that because that's another deck that I built, and for those of you that are wondering, it is Crashing Footfalls, the rhinos.
Just got the just hear them charging on through. Yeah,
exactly. The premise is to cascade into Crashing Footfalls, and we can even lump Living End in that way too, because all they want to do is fill their graveyard as quickly as possible on turns 1 and 2, and then cascade into something to get a bunch of free threats.
Yeah,
it just feels like both decks are just trying to combat Scam, because both decks traditionally do pretty well against it.
Yeah, everyone else in Modern looks like they are doing some pretty, like I said, 4D unfair things are going on. High level plays can definitely occur in Modern and interesting stack patterns. And then you've got this Rhino deck where I feel like I'm watching almost a toddler trying to just put the square block into finding the square hole, and does it. He's like super impressive, and this is a major event, and powerful unfair things are happening. You're like, I feel like he didn't try very hard at that, but okay. Yeah. Yes. So it is a funny deck.
Very
format.
Very simplistic.
Very simple deck. It's the fair man's deck, maybe.
Kind of.
So rolling on from the toddler deck, we are coming into Tron.
Oh man, it's back. It's back.
I'm not happy about it though.
The One Ring almost single-handedly carries that. Every time that I play it, I will lose to the One Ring. If they just sneak in a One Ring somewhere in there, it's tough.
It is a tough matchup to beat. On the other hand, it is also the deck that I think has probably fallen the most from grace, as far as, because it was one of the top performers of the Pro Tour, which goes back to our original warning in the past. Just because it's good at the Pro Tour does not mean it's going to win every single game of Magic. Just
definitely from the Pro Tour, much lower results.
Our local Tron player, has had very poor results with it, honestly.
Yeah, just in testing, it just has not been kind to him, regardless if he's up against Rhino, Scam, or Titan.
Yeah, it has been a rough one. Turns out if you don't have counter spells,
it's tough.
It's hard.
Modern's a tough format if you do not interact.
Yep, and a format that demands interaction, which we're huge fans of. We love interaction. Yeah. So that's why we've enjoyed it so far.
With all of that being said, we both landed on a deck that, of course, us being the Mystic Mentors, I feel like we're on a trend of not picking decks that are top of the meta.
No.
And I think that's a good practice, personally. People know how to play against the top decks.
They do. The play patterns are clear, especially the practiced ones.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah. So picking something even just a little off kilter helps in percentages, especially in local events like this.
Yes.
So what we've both landed on is Snapcaster plus Flame of Anor.
We gotta work on the working. That's a working title. We gotta find a name for this deck.
I don't know what the name is called. I've been calling it Snap of Anor.
Snap of Anor. We'll work with it.
But the premise is these two cards individually are
middle of the road.
Very middle of the road. I would say Snapcaster is much more powerful. And Flame of Anor, I was intimidated at first by a 3-mana instant card that demands that you have another piece for it to work fully.
Right.
But in practice, that card is it.
It has done unspeakable things to multiple of our players on multiple archetypes, not just one.
Oh yeah, it has been absolutely absurd. Not to mention Snap Bolt, Snap Counterspell, in my opinion, still feels just as good as it used to back when we played. Well, it was Mana Leak at the time, but...
Right. Yes. Divination that kills opposing creatures at instant speed
is pretty good.
Or opposing artifacts.
Yeah. One thing that I've noticed about the Modern format is that there's not a lot of 2-for-1s. I feel like it's all 1-for-1s, or sometimes you 3-for-1 yourself, like in the instance of Grief, in order to pick apart your opponent's most important pieces. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, it is a strategy. But just having a 2-for-1 in the form of Snapcaster plus the myriad of spells in your deck, I feel like that's really good. Like, it's well poised right now in a very resource-burdened gameplay.
Yeah, going back to our point, talking about how Modern is a strange format, which starts out high-level gameplay, powerful magic is happening. Mm-hmm. It usually devolves into this very limited format where if your card does 2 things, You're busted. Yeah. You're just having a ball, and your opponent's just over there top decking 1 card turn.
Yeah.
And then at this point, you're probably saying, well, okay, this sounds like, is it Merc type? But you toss Snapcasters and Flame of Anor. You're right.
That's the deck.
That's the deck. That's what it does. This deck seems very legitimate, Rudy. It just seems to have all the answers.
It's hard to name weaknesses for the deck. I feel like it's a solid 50-50 deck.
It's a solid 50-50 deck that rewards play experience,
yes.
like matchup experience. So now that you know what deck we are bringing to the event and what decks you might see at the event, let's go and talk about the event itself.
The most exciting part.
There's so much good. There's so much good being covered here.
As we've said at the beginning, we've never had an event like this.
No.
It's a 2-day event here in the West Midwest.
Yep.
It'll take place on October
7th and October 8th.
October 7th and 8th, a Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
Saturday
days.
being an RCQ, side events. It's a 1-seater.
Yep, it's a 1-slot RCQ Modern.
And then the very next day will be the Modern $1,000 tournament.
Yes.
Which is crazy. And that's not all. Because our sponsor, King of Games, has also told us that the ante doesn't end there. It's not just like a flat 1,000.
Yeah, it's not a flat 1,000. That's so hilariously incredible because it's rare for shops to do that.
Yeah, especially local stores. You rarely ever get an event like that. So already we have an RCQ followed by a 1K.
Yes.
With side events, prize supports that are absurd. And it's all in a localized area for the Midwest.
Right.
These are 3 extreme pros, but if that doesn't sell you on it, for every player above an allotted amount,
25 specifically,
25 players, every player above that, a sum of that, of the entry fee, will go right into the pot for the 1K.
Right. So the pot can grow. So all you have to do, folks, is come to Miles City in the Midwest to King of Games, sign up, enter into the tournament, and tell your friends. It's a chance to socialize, meet new people, and refine your skill at competitive Magic at the highest levels. I think this is
absolutely.
It's literally the dream for us as far as what we'd want to do with our weekend.
Huge opportunity, especially to test what we've been putting to the grindstone for Modern. Additionally, the store has done a lot of outreach for a level 2 judge to show up, which means it's going to be completely officiated by somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yes.
Which is good.
Yes. 2 days of competency. Imagine.
Yeah.
Yes. And finally, last but not least, the part we are really excited about personally, besides the event itself, which we already are so incredibly hyped for, is there's going to be feature matches. You could see your game on YouTube, courtesy of the Mystic Mentors. We're going to have a feature matchup area. You'll get to sit down, your deck, your skills. If you think that, if you're a brewer and you think you've got the next hot answer to Magic's questions, bring it. Show us what you've got. Not only that, we are going to get to see which of you are the best spikes, right? Which of you think that you're just the best player in the room. You know that you're the cleverest one. You know you have the goods.
Here's your time to prove it.
Here's your time to show us that you are indeed one of the best in the Midwest. And with that, dear viewers, Mystic Mentors would like to say goodbye to you as you exit the archives. Please make sure to like and subscribe or leave a comment below. Thank you, and have a good night.
Link below.
Link below.